Last month, I watched a dashcam video that made my jaw drop. A brand new $300,000 motorhome hit a bridge at 55 miles per hour and turned into a convertible in about 2 seconds. The roof peeled back like a tin can, air conditioners went flying across 3 lanes of traffic, and debris scattered for a quarter mile. The worst part? The driver never even slowed down. Apparently didn't realize their dream home had just become an expensive pile of scrap metal. That video has over 2 million views now, and it's just one of dozens of RV disaster compilations that go viral every year. Bridge strikes, tire explosions, backing disasters that defy physics, and fires that turn RVs into infernos faster than you can dial 911. These aren't Hollywood special effects. They're real disasters happening to real people who thought, "It'll never happen to me." But here's the thing that really gets me. Every single one of these disasters was completely preventable. We're talking about million-dollar insurance claims, destroyed vacations, and sometimes serious injuries that could have been avoided with basic knowledge and common sense. The problem is that most RVers never see these videos until after they've made their own expensive mistakes. The RV industry certainly isn't going to show them during the sales process, and most people don't think to look up RV disaster compilation on YouTube before they hit the road. Today we're examining 11 real RV disasters caught on camera that are so spectacular you'll wonder how they even happened. But more importantly, we're breaking down why they happened and how to make sure you never become the star of your own viral disaster video. Trust me, after watching these, you'll never look at RV travel the same way again. Number 1. The Great Bridge Strike Compilation. Nothing destroys an RV faster than meeting a bridge that's shorter than your rig is tall. We're talking about disasters so spectacular they shut down major highways and create traffic jams that last for hours. The most common bridge strike scenario goes like this. Someone in a Class A motorhome gets comfortable driving their rig and forgets they're not in a car anymore. They follow their GPS down a route they've never traveled before, see a bridge ahead, and suddenly realize they're about to become a very expensive statistic. When a 13-foot-tall RV hits an 11-foot bridge at highway speed, something has to give, and it's never the bridge. The roof gets peeled back like a tin can, air conditioners go flying, and sometimes the entire top half of the RV just disappears. I've seen footage of brand new $200,000 motorhomes turned into convertibles in half a second. The sound is unforgettable. This grinding, tearing noise followed by debris raining down on the highway. Most bridge strikes are completely preventable with basic planning. GPS units designed for RVs account for height restrictions. But people get overconfident, ignore their height restrictions, or trust regular GPS systems that route cars without considering clearance issues. Number 2. Runaway RV on mountain grades. Mountain driving separates experienced RVers from people who think towing a house is just like driving a bigger car. The disasters that happen on steep grades are absolutely terrifying, and when they're caught on camera, they serve as permanent reminders of what happens when physics meets poor judgment. The classic runaway RV scenario starts with someone descending a long, steep grade without understanding how to control their speed properly. Maybe they're riding their brakes instead of using engine braking, or they're towing beyond their vehicle's capacity. What happens next is the stuff of nightmares. Brakes overheat and fade, the rig starts gaining speed, and suddenly the driver realizes they're no longer in control of a 15,000-pound missile heading downhill at increasing speed. I've watched dashcam footage of runaway RVs passing everything on the highway while the driver frantically searches for runaway truck ramps or any way to stop their out-of-control rig. The terror is real, and the consequences are often catastrophic for everyone involved. One particularly harrowing video shows a Class A motorhome that lost its brakes on a Colorado mountain pass. The driver managed to use a runaway truck ramp, but not before the rig reached speeds that turned it into a barely controlled projectile. Number 3. Catastrophic tire failures at highway speed RV. Tire blowouts aren't just inconveniences, they're explosive events that can destroy your entire rig and endanger everyone around you. The forces involved when a tire fails at highway speed are incredible, and the damage that results often seems impossible until you see it happening. A typical catastrophic tire failure starts with a tire that's been running underinflated, overloaded, or simply aged beyond its safe life. The sidewall suddenly lets go with explosive force, often taking fender wells, electrical systems, and plumbing with it. But the real disaster happens when the sudden loss of a tire causes loss of control. I've seen footage of travel trailers that started swaying violently after a blowout, eventually jackknifing and rolling multiple times. The destruction is total. Motorhome tire failures can be even more spectacular because of the weight and momentum involved. When a front tire blows on a heavy motorhome, the results are often catastrophic. The vehicle can become uncontrollable instantly. One video that still haunts me shows a fifth wheel that suffered a catastrophic tire failure while being passed by the camera car. The trailer immediately went into violent oscillations that the truck couldn't control, eventually jackknifing and rolling off the highway. Number 4. Backing disasters that defy physics. Backing up an RV seems simple enough until you factor in limited visibility, trailer dynamics that work backwards from what seems logical, and the pressure of having an audience of fellow campers watching your every move. The physics of backing a trailer are counterintuitive. To make the trailer go right, you turn the steering wheel left, and small inputs create big movements. Add in limited visibility, obstacles like trees and picnic tables, and you have a recipe for spectacular disasters. I've seen footage of backing attempts that started as simple campsite maneuvers and ended with RVs buried in ditches, wrapped around trees, or somehow perched on top of picnic tables in ways that seem to defy the laws of physics. One particularly memorable video shows someone attempting to back a large motorhome into a campsite. What should have been a 5-minute maneuver turned into a 30-minute comedy of errors that ended with the RV somehow wedged between two trees. But it's not always funny. Backing disasters can cause serious damage to RVs, campground property, and other people's equipment. I've watched footage of backing attempts that destroyed electrical pedestals and demolished camp store buildings. Number 5. Slide-out catastrophes in motion. RV slide-outs are amazing when they work properly, but when they fail spectacularly, the results are often caught on camera and shared as cautionary tales throughout the RV community. The most common slide-out disaster happens when someone tries to travel with slides extended. The slide-out box, never designed to handle road forces while extended, starts oscillating and eventually tears itself apart or rips away from the main structure entirely. I've seen dashcam footage of RVs ahead on the highway that suddenly start shedding slide-out components across multiple lanes. Awnings, slide-out rooms, and debris create instant hazards for following traffic while the oblivious driver continues down the highway. Hydraulic failures can create equally spectacular disasters. When a slide-out loses hydraulic pressure while partially extended, the weight of the room can cause catastrophic structural damage. One video shows someone attempting to extend a large slide-out in a campsite with a tree directly in the path. Instead of repositioning the RV, they decided to see if it would clear. It didn't. The slide-out pushed against the tree until something had to give, and it wasn't the tree. Number 6. Propane explosions and fire disasters. RV fires and explosions are the disasters that every RVer fears most, and when they're caught on camera, they serve as sobering reminders of how quickly things can go catastrophically wrong. Propane-related disasters are particularly spectacular because of the explosive potential involved. A propane leak combined with an ignition source creates disasters that are both sudden and total. I've seen footage of RVs that went from minor fire to complete destruction faster than emergency responders could arrive. The progression is always terrifying to watch. It usually starts with someone noticing smoke or a small flame, often from a water heater, furnace, or refrigerator. Within minutes, the fire spreads through the RV's lightweight construction. One particularly haunting video shows a motorhome that caught fire at a gas station. What started as a small engine fire quickly spread to the living area, and when the flames reached the propane tanks, the explosion was visible for miles. Electrical fires create equally devastating disasters, often starting in areas where owners have made DIY modifications or overloaded circuits. The fires spread quickly through RV construction materials that prioritize weight savings over fire resistance. Number 7. High wind horror stories. RVs and high winds don't mix, and the disasters that result when people underestimate Mother Nature's power are often captured on camera in spectacular fashion. We're talking about incidents where RVs become airborne, get flipped like toys, or are destroyed by winds that RVers never saw coming. The physics are simple but brutal. RVs are essentially large sails on wheels, and when wind speeds reach certain thresholds, even the heaviest motorhomes can become uncontrollable or airborne. I've watched dash cam footage of travel trailers that started swaying in crosswinds, then suddenly flipped completely over while still being towed at highway speed. The destruction is instant and total, and the tow vehicle often gets dragged along for the ride. Tornado encounters create some of the most spectacular RV disasters ever caught on camera. RVs caught in tornado paths become projectiles, and the footage of motorhomes being tossed hundreds of yards through the air is both terrifying and mesmerizing. One particularly sobering video shows a line of severe thunderstorms approaching a campground. Despite weather warnings, many RVers chose to stay rather than evacuate. The footage shows RVs being blown over like dominoes as the storm hits. Number 8. Water crossing disasters. Water and RVs don't mix well, and the disasters that happen when people attempt to cross flooded roads or underestimate water depth are often captured on camera, with the results that range from expensive to life-threatening. The classic water crossing disaster starts with someone encountering a flooded road and deciding they can make it through because their RV is big and heavy. What they don't understand is that RVs have high centers of gravity and aren't designed for water crossings. I've watched footage of motorhomes attempting to cross flooded areas and suddenly floating sideways as the current takes control. The buoyancy of RVs in floodwater is surprisingly high, and once they start floating, steering becomes impossible. Flash flood encounters create some of the most dramatic water disasters. RVs caught in rapidly rising water often can't escape in time, and the footage shows vehicles being swept away by currents that seem impossibly powerful. One memorable video shows an RV park during a flash flood event. The footage captures multiple RVs being swept away as the water rises faster than anyone anticipated. The scene looks like something from a disaster movie. Number 9. Mechanical failures that cascade into disasters. Sometimes RV disasters start small with a simple mechanical failure, but the cascade of events that follows turns a minor problem into a spectacular disaster that gets captured on camera for posterity. Engine failures on steep grades can create disasters that start with a simple breakdown and end with runaway vehicles or spectacular crashes. I've watched footage of motorhomes that lost power while climbing mountain passes, then couldn't maintain position and started rolling backwards into traffic. Brake failures create the most terrifying mechanical disasters because they often happen gradually, giving drivers just enough time to realize what's happening but not enough time to prevent the disaster. One particularly harrowing video shows a Class A motorhome that suffered a complete brake failure while descending a mountain grade. The driver managed to keep the vehicle under control for several miles while searching for a safe way to stop, finally using a runaway truck ramp. Suspension failures can create disasters that look like special effects. When an axle breaks or suspension components fail catastrophically, the RV can suddenly drop, swerve uncontrollably, or even separate into multiple pieces. Number 10. Loading and unloading disasters. The process of loading and unloading RVs creates opportunities for disasters that often get captured on camera because they happen in public areas with lots of witnesses. These disasters range from expensive equipment damage to spectacular crashes. Boat ramp disasters are particularly entertaining because they combine RVs, water, steep ramps, and often inexperienced operators. I've watched footage of people attempting to launch boats who end up launching their entire tow vehicle and RV into the lake instead. Storage lot disasters happen when people attempt to move RVs in confined spaces without adequate clearance or experience. I've seen videos of motorhomes that got stuck between storage buildings in positions that required dismantling structures to extract them. One unforgettable video shows someone attempting to load a large ATV into a toy hauler. Instead of using proper ramps and tie-downs, they decided to gun it up a makeshift ramp. The ATV launched over the RV entirely, creating a scene that looks like a stunt gone wrong. Number 11. Setup and breakdown disasters. The process of setting up and breaking down camp creates opportunities for disasters that often get captured by fellow campers who can't believe what they're witnessing. These disasters often start with simple tasks and escalate into spectacular failures. Awning disasters are particularly common because people underestimate the forces involved when dealing with large fabric surfaces in wind. I've watched footage of RVers attempting to extend awnings in gusty conditions only to watch their awnings get destroyed instantly. Stabilizer jack failures create disasters that are both expensive and dangerous. When stabilizer jacks fail or are used improperly, RVs can suddenly shift or drop, causing structural damage and potentially injuring people inside. One memorable video shows someone attempting to level a large motorhome using a complex arrangement of blocks and boards that looked more like a Jenga game than proper leveling equipment. The inevitable collapse was captured in slow motion as the entire structure gave way. Utility hookup disasters often involve electrical problems that create spectacular light shows. People who don't understand electrical systems sometimes create connections that result in explosions, fires, or equipment damage. Look, I'm not sharing these disasters to scare people away from RV life, but understanding how these spectacular failures happen is the best way to prevent them from happening to you. Every one of these disasters was preventable with proper knowledge, preparation, and respect for the forces involved. The common thread through most RV disasters is overconfidence combined with inadequate preparation. People underestimate the challenges of operating vehicles they don't fully understand in situations they've never encountered before. The key to avoiding these disasters is education, preparation, and respecting the limitations of both your equipment and your own experience. Take the time to understand how your RV works, what its limitations are, and what can go wrong. Most importantly, don't let these disaster videos discourage you from enjoying RV life. For every spectacular failure caught on camera, there are thousands of successful RV trips that create lasting memories without becoming viral videos. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you witnessed any RV disasters firsthand? What's the closest you've come to creating your own viral disaster video? Share your experiences in the comments because learning from real situations helps everyone become safer RVers. And if this video might help someone avoid becoming the star of their own disaster footage, share it with your RVing friends. Hit that like button, subscribe for more RV reality checks, and remember, the best disaster videos are the ones that teach us how to avoid creating our own.